I started looking around trying to find
We're
where
gonna start charging you.
I know. It wasn't me this time. And so I looked at my 12-year-old, I'm like, we're going to catch it. We're going to find this fire. So we start driving the roads because I did out by us. We're driving. We cannot find this thing. And I drove by the fire.
I can tell you exactly where it came from.
Tanker and engine both gone. I'm like, there's a fire somewhere. We couldn't find it. So we came back. Finally, your guys got back. And I pulled it. I'm like, please tell me there was a fire out by me. He's like, yeah, Westfall. Guy burn a barn.
I was going to tell you that.
Damn.
They were burning old.
We must have driven right by it.
Did somebody call you?
Trustee.
You ready? Okay. All right, welcome to the Osnaburg Township Trustee meeting on December 12th, 2022. We'll call the meeting to order at 7:34. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a short prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we thank you that we could gather in this place, and we just ask that the things that we do and the things that we say here can help make our township a better place and allow us to do what's best for the whole. Be with our staff as they're out in harm's way, and we ask for a mild winter. It's in your name, amen. That's for you, Stu. Yeah.
But a wet winter. We need the water.
We need the water. All right. Okay, number 3. Any additions to the agenda for this evening?
We do, under the zoning, we need to set our hearing tonight for the layered zoning application that was sent to us.
Okay,
I got none.
and I don't as well. Fiscal Officer Larry, do you have anything to add?
I don't think so. I think I covered it all.
Everything's in there? All right, moving along. All right, approval of the trustee meeting record retention minutes for 11/28.
Trustee Griffith recommends to approve the minutes.
Trustee Pierce, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval for the minutes from Monday, 11/28.
Trustee Pierce moves to accept them as presented.
Trustee Griffith seconds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And approval for the treasurer's report.
Trustee Griffith recommends the treasurer's report as presented.
Trustee Pierce, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
I got tabs on each one.
thank you. And then, do you want to do the appropriations too? You want to-
Yeah.
We'll go right to that, okay. Approval of the 2023 temporary appropriations. Fiscal Officer Larry, do you need to speak on that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll let you
Can I
go.
borrow your black pen again?
Just keep
Sorry,
going.
sorry. My blue pen
See if I
sticks
got
out.
backup.
All right, thanks.
Trustees, do you have any questions on what I prepared for the temporary? Usually that's kind of simple for me. I went to the point of, I'm just trying to write enough temporary appropriations through the first 3 months of the year, the first quarter. If you ask me the question, like, what were we last year on this? We were at, got that here. Notes here. We're at 1,521,062.74 was approved last year. This year, we're at 1,566,914.74.
Brian, did you have to increase our utilities with the electrical rates or not? Or did we have enough cushion in there the way they were?
Our own utilities.
On our utilities?
On our utilities.
On all utilities?
Ours.
Ours.
Ask the question again.
What we're paying out on utilities for all of our buildings and stuff, did we have to increase our budget? So did we increase appropriations for the increased costs we know is coming?
Well, temporary, I didn't, but will definitely do that for permanent.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion? All right, Trustee Varian moves to approve the 2023 temporary appropriations.
Trustee Pierce, second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you need a sheet signed on that one or not?
No,
Okay.
that's me. I just need a
Great.
formal, you did it here.
All right, we're moving on to public speaks.
Can I introduce them?
Yes, please.
So Dan Moglen, with Stark Parks, requested to be able to come tonight and speak. And he has brought a new employee, Angela Palomo. Am I saying it right? Plumbo. And Angela used to be with First Tee, and now she is with Stark Parks. So, Dan, Angela, it's all floor is yours.
Thank you. You have a few cards for you.
Oh,
here.
great. Thank
So
you.
you guys have my
That's
contact
perfect.
info. The last name's actually Meglin. So.
Oh,
it's kind of-
sorry.
No problem.
I'll
Most
probably still
people-
call you Mowgli now, it's a habit.
That's fine, that's fine.
I'll try to correct myself.
Okay.
Well, I've been with the parks since April, and I'm trying to make the rounds. Get out and see folks and get a feel of what people are looking for. Try and figure out what has worked well in the past, what has not worked well. And we're doing kind of a listening tour. And rumor has it we had some communication challenges and some challenges out here in this neck of the woods in the past. And I wanted to try and address some of those head on. And in the process, kind of hear what people are looking for, give you some ideas what we're trying to accomplish. The big thing, the kind of edict that our trustees or our board has told us is take care of what we have. And which I think as public entities, that's what we're all trying to do in today's day and age. Take care of what we have. So what that means to us is improving existing trail surfaces, parking lots, looking at bathrooms, kind of taking care of the properties that we have, fixing bridges, fixing buildings, and trying to develop. So in the past few years, we had acquired a lot of property and some very great additions, wonderful additions, will leave a great legacy to the citizens of Stark County. But we're going to kind of ease back on that and try and take care of what we have, make some strategic adjustments. With that, Angela came to us recently. She is our new community engagement manager. Part of what we had in the past, we refer to a lot of things as a marketing effort. We're trying to really change that dialogue. When I hear marketing, I think I'm trying to sell you something. We're not here to sell you something. We're here to have a conversation with you and hear what you guys want, not what we want you to have, but what you want us to do for you. So with that, I did print out a sheet here. And during the last period, there's one for everybody. Pass this one. You'll see a portion of Osnaburg on this. And this is a map of proposed and existing trails that have been developed starting back in the 90s and updated here in recent years. And quite honestly, there's quite a few trails. The green identify off-road trails. The red identify on-road trails. The map's a little out of date, but it gives you an idea. The solid ones were the ones that were already built. Dashed ones imply or identify proposed ones.
Gotcha.
So there's a whole lot of lines on this map. And one of the things that comes to mind, and given my past experience working in the infrastructure world, when you put lines on maps, they are very, very important. And I don't take that lightly. And when you put lines on maps through private property, that's a problem. And I have a problem with that as a property owner and as a citizen. So what we are here to do is to take a look in general terms, kind of look at this map, recognize that things may have not been handled quite right in the past or the way we're going to do them now, and make some adjustments to how we move forward and start to get some input from you folks as to how we move forward together as opposed to opposing each other.
Can I go back just to clarify, Dan? You said the broken lines are just proposed, not, is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct, generally. This map is a little out of date. I think this version was updated in the late 2000 teens. So there might be a few tweaks on it, but generally.
What was the red?
The red is on-road,
Okay,
whereas green is off-road.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the green that you see on this map really are laid down over old railroad lines.
Yeah.
That were abandoned railroad lines. And it kind of made some sense in general terms, hey, let's try and follow those corridors. But what I want to really call your attention to, for those that can see it, what I did on this map, and you can see just some red pens, some lines. So coming up from Minerva and following what's identified as the Nickel Plate Trail, you see a couple red lines right where it intersects the Iron Horse Trail, and then another red line almost to Robertsville Road.
Mhm.
Those red lines identify the property that Stark Parks currently owns and kind of the limits of that. So we do own the railroad bed all the way out of Minerva up to Pleasant Valley where the railroad line intersects. There's a gap there that's the width of the old railroad bed. Then we own another section over almost to Robertsville. Then coming down to Louisville, we own a section down to Louisville, right about where it says Nickel Plate Trail. You'll see another red line, just shy of the existing road down there. The same thing coming out of Alliance down to and touching State Route 153. So in my mind, we own those. Those are mostly existing trails. There's one section there just north of 153 that's not built yet. There's some other sections down by Minerva that aren't built. But the areas that are in between those red dashes, those need removed from our map. Those are through private property. We are not coming to those property owners and trying to take those properties. That's just not an option. It's not going to be an option now, and it's not going to be an option in the future. So we need to remove those lines from this map. So that's first and foremost the things that we're trying to accomplish. And you have those situations that exist, throughout the county in different areas. This just happens to be the one that I know is near and dear to you folks. So we're working on that, and we will remove those lines when we do a formal update to the map. So those private property, we're not going after. However, what I think is important from our perspective is to try and get some level of connectivity between the different communities. What that looks like, don't know. We could maybe put, an overall circle kind of around that area and identify that circle as some type of future connections that will be determined down the road when we can sort something out. Some of those connections could be on road, using some of those things and just sign a route. Say this is a route. It doesn't have to be a separate trail. It could be a route. When we talk about biking and walking, I generally refer to it from my transportation background as an active transportation system. And so when you talk about active transportation, it includes, we as the users are taking part in that, biking, walking, hiking, those types of things. So when we identify it as a transportation network, that opens up other opportunities to talk about in that it doesn't just have to be off-road recreational trails. We could potentially use on-road corridors. So for instance, if we were trying to connect, we'll just say random point A to point B, and the connection in between, if there's an off-road connection through a willing property owner or property that the government entity owns, great, we go off-road. However, if there's no off-road connection, one opportunity might be to look at the roadway corridors that connect those and say, hey, is this a low volume road, relatively low speeds, decent geometry, so not too many curves, not too many hills, good visibility. And if that's the case, maybe we can just mark that as a route, a bike route from point A to point B. And really that's all it might take is some additional signing to call attention to the motorized vehicle operators to say, hey, be aware there might be some bicyclists on there. If the road's a little heavier used or a little higher speed, maybe we need to talk about bike lanes, having that widened shoulder where we can put bikes outside the vehicle portion of the road, but still in that public right of way. So that when you talk about an active transportation system, it opens up a lot of different tools in the toolbox. I don't necessarily know what all the right tools are here or what the solution is offhand. But that's where, once we concede that we're gonna remove some of those private property lines that go through private property lines, then we can circle back around and start to have maybe a little more productive dialogue, whether it be with the state of Ohio, if it happens to be a state route, or the county engineer, county routes, or the township trustees, whoever the owner of those roads are. Then we can start to take a look at potential routes to connect point A to point B, or in this case, Louisville, Alliance, Minerva. So that's our plan. I wanted to talk with you, get your feedback, get your input. Nothing is set in stone. I just want to start a dialogue with you folks. I have met with some of the local residents that during the past levy were pretty vocal in expressing some of their concerns. I've talked with Josh, I've talked with Dr. Pugh, Josh Staley and Dr. Pugh. Spent some time with them, had some dialogue back and forth. Even talked about some of the potential road opportunities there and connections. So I've reached out to some of the other folks that I know actually own some of that right away. And just want to start the ball rolling to have some dialogue and get some ideas. So with that, I've taken enough of your time. I'm sure I'm over my 3 to 5 minutes, whatever is allowed. So
So are you
I
taking
appreciate
questions?
absolutely.
So a couple questions that have been provided to me from residents is why in this southeastern side of the county, in Osnaburg Township, do you need to connect the trails? And even if it was on road trails, they're concerned because people don't respect property lines. And even now they don't, they come on property. So even if you were doing the trail on the road, they're concerned they're still going to have people on their property. So as of right now, most of them don't want Stark Parks to come down here. The second question I have, and I couldn't answer this to them, was if you look at the per capita for people versus the amount of parkland we have or trails or lanes, and compare that to across the country to other places, how do we compare with that? It seems like we have an already higher amount than most places. And because we're only seeing this small section here,
Sure.
if we had a view of the whole county, so we could see how this section's comparing to the rest of the county.
Right.
We are friends.
Absolutely. And you know what?
Caveat at the end of that.
Doesn't seem like it.
Thank you for the warning.
By the way, we're friends.
Remember that.
The thing that I will tell you before even, and it sounds like you have some other questions. My perspective on things is if you guys aren't asking difficult questions, you're not doing your job. If I can't answer difficult questions, I'm not doing my job. So I welcome any questions in addition to those you mentioned.
Well, we're really happy that we're talking about it because there was no talk before. So this is great that we're
There was
talking.
talk, it was forced, yeah.
Yeah. it was-
Not talk I could
It just,
repeat.
you got a long battle. Mr. Font was not good at his job and he did a lot of damage, I can tell you that.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, and I hope you'll give me the opportunity to try and mend some of those fences.
I will add that it's not that we don't like parks, we do.
Absolutely.
And we are in the process of putting a park in ourselves, the township. And so we're very supportive of parks, but we're also supporting for our, because we're mostly farming community down here. And even the on-road trails is going to cause people to invade onto that property. And I don't know that there's any way to not have that happen. They're concerned about their fences.
I don't know. You think people are gonna go down the road and just cut into somebody's property?
Depends on what they need.
I mean, they'll do that now. That trail ain't stopping that.
Right.
I don't see.
Well, if I can maybe give some responses to those.
Yeah.
I'll do the easy one that I don't know the answer to per capita in terms of acreage of parkland or miles of trail. I honestly don't know the answer. That's a good one to get
To our
and to have in
population.
my hand. I do know that we have roughly 8,300 acres.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
8,300 acres.
Yeah, but I
Just for
don't,
curiosity's
I
sake.
suppose you can do the math there,
Yeah.
how many residents in Stark County, what that compares to.
And those are acres that are owned or some are leased?
A lot of those are leased.
A lot of those
So
leased, okay.
for instance, If you talk about that 8,300 acres, most of the towpath and canal lands along the Tuscarawas, that's all owned by the county commissioners, but we're tasked with maintaining it. Cippo Lake, where we have our headquarters, that's county commission property.
Oh, okay.
Wallborn and Deer Creek Reservoir, those are Alliance.
So
That's
Alliance
actually-
owns those.
Yeah, Alliance owns those. Those are drinking, Deer Creek's are a drinking water reservoir.
Mhm.
Quail Hollow, which is
Oh, yeah.
probably the largest, about 700 acres.
Yeah.
That's owned by the state of Ohio. That's a ODNR property there.
Okay.
So big chunks of those we manage on behalf of other entities, but we roll those into the 8,300 acres. We also have roughly 120 miles of trail, is another number. And of that 120 miles, there is a breakdown of that, which portions of it exist within other communities. For instance, I happen to be relatively familiar with the city of Canton, and there's quite a bit of trail and bike network on-road and off-road in the city, and have been very in tune with that. So some of that's a portion of that 120 miles.
So would it be the county that owns that then? Or do you lease that trail, those bike trails
So what we generally do when
in the
it's
city?
in the city, it's, I would use an example of a state route, okay? The state route generally, at least in the city, we use Market Avenue, State Route 43 in the city as an example, or 172, 153. Those are city streets, city property, but it's part of a state route network, okay? So when you're talking about in the city, those bike routes, bike trails, generally speaking, they're mostly all owned by the city, with the exception of a few parts that are owned by Stark County, by the Park District. So they're part of a countywide network where the county, through Stark Parks, comes in, does some work, does some maintenance, keeps them in condition, help with some of the upfront construction. But technically, they are city-owned. So we have this agreement that lays out the terms of that ownership, just as we do Deer Creek and the county commissioners with Alliance and so on. So ODNR, each of those is based on an internal document that lays out responsibilities. So, but it is part of that larger system. It's State Route 43, but yet it's still Market Avenue. So that's the kind of relationship. The other thing we have is 15 generally public parks that are open. And again, I don't have a good handle on how those compare. I know if you talk about Cuyahoga County and Cleveland Metro Parks, I've heard that there are numbers you can multiply by 10. Roughly speaking, the number of parks, the square miles, the length of trail, and then also the population. So I don't know that
Would those be national parks like Cuyahoga Valley?
So the numbers I heard that in reference to refer to the Cleveland Metro Parks, which is their county park district. I don't think they included the national.
The nationals.
Yeah, so anyway, I don't have a good handle on that. We can try and look up some of those numbers and get that out to you. We can shoot you some emails or get some of that info.
Dan, is your main funding source a levy?
Yes.
Levy funding?
Yeah,
Okay.
we have a 1 mil levy
Okay,
that brings in about $7.5 million a year.
okay.
On a countywide basis.
7.5. So that's your yearly budget, 7.5?
Budget's a little higher than that because
Okay.
we do have some revenues from other sources.
Sure.
Rentals,
Understood.
grants. We're awfully good at trying
Yeah.
to get grants and things. So
Okay,
we're usually up in that 8 to
okay.
9 million.
9 million. Got it.
So
How many employees do you guys have, staff?
65 range, I think,
Okay.
right now. So it's
Yeah.
a good bit. I think about 12 or 15 rangers, our construction and maintenance staff, our education staff, our planning staff, our community engagement staff, finance, HR,
Okay.
the whole bailiwick. So
What's the park's view? Is unlimited, or is it, when's enough's enough? I'm not trying to put you down, I'm just saying that
Sure.
would you guys accept anything no matter what? If there was 400 acres here, 400 acres there, or is there a point where you say enough's enough?
I think there's a point where we say enough's enough, and right now what I've been told is we need to slow our roll on property acquisition. So by the board, because trying to live within our means,
Sure.
you know, that $8.5 million, as you folks were talking earlier, you can only own so much stuff.
Goes quick.
Yeah, and people, I've heard it referred to as a free kitten. There's no such thing as a free kitten or a free dog. There comes a cost, there's a price to it. And so I'm not saying that we're not going to acquire some properties strategically that would help with connections or enhance an existing property, something like that. But I think we're being much more careful about that, and we'll be much more careful about it.
Yeah.
We really need to take care of what we have first.
So I know you have some projects in process that aren't completed. Are you going to focus on completing those, like over at Fry Park and some places?
Yes, that is the focus, is to try and wrap some of those out and to really drive usage. Fry's a great example. It's quite honestly, I think, our most beautiful park. If you look at the vistas and the views and the facilities out there, it's certainly an underutilized park in my estimation right now. The taxpayers have put an awful lot of money into it, and that's one of the things that we've actually talked to Angela about, is trying to develop more usage for it and getting the word out there so people can come down and use it.
How many
And trying to
acres
work
is at
some
the
of
Fry
those.
Park?
It's about 300.
Okay, because I've been there several
size.
times and at most I might have seen 2 people.
Right.
It's just not being,
Agreed.
Yeah.
Now, you also asked your first question, Brenda, I'm sorry, Member Griffith. In regards to when is not enough is enough, but folks down here don't necessarily want more parks. And let's face it, this is a beautiful, generally rural community. Effectively, most of you live on what we would consider a park. What is the importance of connectivity on some of these trails? Because I talked about that earlier.
Right.
Why do folks from Minerva need to get to Louisville to Alliance and vice versa? Why do we even need to talk about that? So what we have seen in a lot of the requests that we get are those connectivity issues. There are a lot of people that do ride from place to place. We've seen quite a bit of tourism and economic development related to that. Now, even a lot of the rural folks that I'll talk to, I did a podcast with Thompson's Dairy folks a little while back. And just like you guys, hey, we're not opposed to parks. We love parks. We love the rural area. They were on the trails on a regular basis. So we believe connectivity is important. And we're seeing more and more use, especially during COVID. We saw a lot of volume increase in all our parks as well as trails, because it's a physical health thing. It's a mental health thing. There's in some cases, gas has gone down, it seems, in the last couple of weeks, but I know when I was working in Canton, I was riding my bike to work quite a bit, just to save a little money and get some exercise, a little less wear and tear. So that active transportation network, it's more than just recreation. It's about getting from point A to point B. It might be riding to a business or going to get an ice cream cone or just going out to get some exercise. So there's all kinds of needs and all kinds of reasons that we hear a lot of people want that. They want connectivity. They want to be able to get from community to community and experience the economic development that comes with that. And there is a large amount of money that comes into the county from outside. Because just as we have these county trails or trails in the municipalities, they're at the state level and at the national level, there are identified corridors for state bike routes and national bike routes. Several of those do come through Stark County. And as a result of those, we have a lot of people that live outside the county that will ride their bikes in, many of them clubs and groups. Now, these are the bikers that are pretty avid bicyclists, but they'll come in and they're going to stay at places and they're going to spend money and they're going to go to our restaurants and they're going to reinvest in our tourism opportunities.
Right.
So we think there's a lot of opportunity there, but it doesn't have to happen all at once. We have a lot of places and a lot of things to do before we start making a lot of inroads. For instance, a lot of people in Minerva are saying they want to get out to that trail. They want to be able to use that portion of the railroad that we own. And we're working on that. We're actively working on a project to improve access within the village or the city down there. But we're going to be careful because if we go and develop a portion of a trail down here, we don't want to do it without having some thought to what's going on here. If the answer is we're not doing anything, that's an answer. We just want to be clear. If the answer is someday we'd like to connect, that also is an answer and a plan. If the answer is, hey, let's look at maybe going Georgetown Road and coming down Paris to do an on-road type of connection and tying things together like that, that's an option too. But we didn't want to, knowing that this has federal grant dollars that we're pursuing and actively working on things in Minerva, we didn't want to do that with our head in the sand and ignore what has happened in the past and what needs to happen in the future up here.
Right.
So we really wanted to have that dialogue. Because if I'm looking at this and I happen to live in this area, I have a constructed trail here right now. I have a constructed trail here right now. Potentially going to have portions or some inkling of a trail here at some point. What that does to me, that puts a bullseye right on this area that you guys are in the thick of. And we didn't want to do that. So we want to have some kind of a plan, even if the plan is nothing's going to happen. But we wanted to have that dialogue.
Dan, what's the East Canton Connector Trail I see on the very, very far left of the map? Is that something that had been talked about to try to get over to the Nickel Plate Trail?
That was intended, I believe, and I apologize, it's right off the map, but I think the idea was getting from Louisville down into East Canton, getting pretty close to the quarry.
I think it travels the roadway, doesn't it?
There's portions of it, the road, and I actually looked at it not too long ago. Portions are on road, portions are off road. I think the idea was getting down into, by the quarry's golf course or some of the other recreational and tourist facilities that are in that area.
Okay.
Whether that happens, I don't know. That's, but we want to be very cautious about those, both on road and off road. So with that, if there are any other questions, I'm happy to take them. Otherwise, I certainly thank you for your time and your patience. I apologize for any missteps that the parks may have taken in the past. And we want to certainly work with you to mend some fences and improve relationships and get your feedback on what you'd like to see or what you would not like to see. Because that all means a lot to us.
You might have said, what's the red dots?
The red are trailhead type things, and they could indicate parking areas, they could indicate restrooms, they could indicate just a little picnic table, with some trash cans, those kind of things, but proposed trailheads.
Thanks.
You betcha.
Well, Dan, thank you for your time.
You betcha.
Yeah,
Thank
very
you,
much.
folks. Have a wonderful Christmas if that applies to you.
Angela, did you want to say anything?
No, I can give you my purse as well.
Okay, great. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
only have one other copy, but if you guys.
Yeah, we'll take it. Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry to bring more. I didn't know how many.
It's all right.
Well, thank you for
Well,
coming
thank you
out
very
on this
much.
late night.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Getting to see all these township halls.
Farmers don't meet till late at night.
Yeah,
Well, you got real work to do.
That's right, that's right. Sun has to be down for us to be able to gather. Good, thank you guys
Yeah,
very much.
wonderful Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Wonderful. All right, moving right along, fire report. Chief Parker.
I guess I would like to continue the conversation on staffing. I know we've had that conversation a little bit. I know Trustee Barry, you came out and we had some conversation. I kind of looked at November and December's schedules and kind of looked at, so in November, we had 259 and a half hours that didn't get covered, which is about $3,800 worth of payroll we did not pay out.
Okay.
December, some of these shifts in December might still get picked up, but we're looking at 312 hours in December, which is $4,600, and those are all figured at $15 an hour, which is the least amount rate. So I guess my question is, like, with not paying that money out, is there a way to pour that back in? I don't know, like, weekends we're having trouble filling. Is there a way to do something on the weekends?
So let me ask the first question of what things in the current handbook are tying the hands of our employees? Like, is there anything that's, I guess maybe my thought is there an employee that would work more but can't because of our rules?
So not currently.
Okay.
The reasons being, a couple of our employees who maybe were in that boat have got other jobs because they need healthcare, they want a retirement, they want those other things. So the employees that were maybe bumping up against that larger
cutoff.
number of hours, are now employed other places. And so we've lost their larger number of hours. Because we can't and don't offer them some of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I've had 2 employees who have said, hey, if we could figure out healthcare, like we'd be all in. Like we would work as many hours as we were allowed if that was an option. And I know we talked a little bit about that before. I don't know, like, I don't know what the answer is. I know in our previous meeting we were talking about it's certainly not just us that's having a staffing issue.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody else's staffing issue is my problem.
Right.
So I am, focusing on how to fix the staffing problem here because that is the one that's my problem. My staffing problem is the reason that I'm getting up, 4 to 5 times a week to go.
How many's on the roster right now?
15.
So if you go on a paramedic course, if you have one that's not a paramedic and one that is a paramedic, can they still run that call fine?
Yes, because everybody on our roster is either an EMT or a paramedic.
Well, my thing is, if you go into the community and try and get some that aren't,
Somewhat.
You mean just firefighters?
right,
So you can petition the state of Ohio for a temporary hardship to allow transport with 1 firefighter and 1 EMT. But I don't know that we have a large quantity of people that are
Just
firefighter
firefighters.
certified that are in our area that are not EMS certified.
I think he's asking,
well, you might get new ones. They don't want to be a paramedic, but might want to be a firefighter and want some extra money.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know where you're gonna go to find these people at this point.
do they have to be a firefighter?
Yes.
Do they have to have some type of training
Yes.
to be on the ambulance?
Yes. To drive our vehicles. Yes.
Right.
How much training is that?
We had set our minimum at the 120 hour for firefighters to have that to be someone who is working shifts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the standard firefighter training is
It
120
is,
hours.
no, 240 hours is your max training. And we have everybody but 1 person who is a 240 trained.
But they do the 120 first, or they can
You can
choose the
do
240?
either. You can do just the 120 or you can do the whole 20.
I don't even know how, I'm going to say this out loud, and I think it might have been a bad idea before I can say it, but is there any way, can you give, I know we're already giving premium pay out of the COVID funds, but is there a way to give a bonus to someone that picks up a shift? How do we incentivize people to pick shifts up?
So my specific concern there is so then nobody puts in any availability, because if they're gonna make more to pick up a shift that's open.
Got it. That's fine. That's what I needed to know. I didn't
I
know.
mean, one of my thoughts was maybe they make a couple of dollars more per hour on the weekends. I mean, anywhere else you're working, like hospital, even sometimes factories, you're making a shift differential if you're working nights or weekends. I don't know the answer. I know that after being on call the last umpteen weekends, so basically I'm at home and I know nobody's there. So I know if we get a call, I'm going out. Like I can't keep doing that. I won't. Like it's not good for the community. It's not good for, I mean, it's just not good.
Right.
So,
What's the average number of calls someone takes in a month?
in a month,
In a month?
right now we're averaging between 3 and 4 calls a day. So if you're working,
I don't mean calls out, I mean shifts. Sorry, I didn't say it correctly. How many shifts
in a
does someone pick up in a month?
month,
If they're part-time,
if they're
6 to
part-time,
7.
6 or so, yeah, and sometimes they're the whole shift and sometimes they're part of
Part
the shift.
shifts.
So I'm wondering if we say something like, once you work this many shifts in
Yeah.
a month,
Yeah.
then you get
Yeah.
X amount more
Yeah.
for whatever
Yeah,
shift.
that's
you
the
work.
bonus. Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
So they're not giving up, they have to
Yeah.
work, it's
Yeah.
like 6
But
shifts.
to not make Brian's head spin, if we're saving the money because we have a bunch of openings, and we've got a little bit of extra money to throw at that. I don't know if we're allowed to do that. I don't know if is that legal? Are we allowed to?
We would have to make a resolution, like, if you work over 6 shifts, you receive X amount extra per each shift you work over that. But then you have the issue of making sure your shifts still get passed out
Sure.
fairly.
sure.
Right.
What are these people doing? Are they refusing to work, or are they?
They're working other
They're
places.
just working
That-
full-time
so-
someplace
so-
else.
What's the wage difference?
Oh,
It
$3 or
depends on the
$4.
place. Most other places, paramedics are making about 20. Ours are at 16.50. So some of them have pretty much said, I'm gonna pick up a shift somewhere else and
Right,
making
so
more.
I don't see what a bonus is gonna do. They're not gonna leave that job for the bonus.
yeah, you're right. Unless it's over
Unless they
$100.
live close.
No, you're right. It's gonna.
Yeah, but you gotta make up the $4 an hour
Right.
somewhere.
Yeah. Right.
There's just not enough out there. Is the
Correct.
problem.
That's part of it. Yeah, absolutely.
The top tier isn't filling up and then spilling down. I mean, it's not just
No.
you, it's everywhere.
It is. Yep, you're right.
Don't they have pretty
I
full
understand your
rosters?
concern, you can't keep doing what you're doing either.
No.
Yeah, up at Stark State, isn't the classes pretty full?
Yes and no. I think there were about 10 EMTs in each of the classes. They're on 3. At least for the paramedic class, so like I help teach up there, most of the paramedic students are spoken for. So, I mean, they're
getting full-time jobs out of school, aren't they?
most of them are either doing full-time jobs or they're already working some of this paying for their school.
Right. There's just not enough people.
There. Correct, there's not, but yeah. And you know, in the conversations that we've had here, the conversations that Trustee Varian and I have had, technical conversations Ben and I have had, like, I don't have the answer. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah.
But we need to continue having this conversation until we figure out what the answer is, and I don't know.
Right.
But right now, if you tried to hire somebody, they have to be a paramedic, correct?
No, they just need to be an EMT with fire certifications.
No, you won't hire not just a fire.
I would, but they wouldn't be allowed to work shift until they got their EMS certification. They just simply don't do us any good to not be EMS certified.
Well, what I'd ask Amy, and I mean, I was just asking questions because I don't know, but like I had heard a story about, secretary at the fire department got her EMS so that she could drive. She wants nothing to do with the patient in the back, but she could drive, and that's
She's an EMT.
because she's an EMT. Like I was asking her, like, so can Trustee Varian get a certification that I just drive the machine and somebody in the back works on the patient? We were talking about that. Like what, I mean, that sounds crazy and wild, but that's what we're getting to a point of like, okay, there's one person in the
That's
fire
where I was going.
There's one person or no people in there, and Amy's waiting for the phone to ring at home.
Well, the other thing that we should do is run the numbers of what it is if we were full-time with health benefits, just so we know where that, and we know that figure's it's really, really huge, but we need to know what it is. Right now, I don't have any clue what it would be.
So is this legal or not? I don't even know how to say this. mutual aid is in the business what you do. You go, you help.
Mhm.
So is there anything to say to Louisville City, like, hey, we're short-staffed, like, you're gonna run calls for us in the mutual aid world. Is there any kickback that we can do because we're not staffed and we're not paying out the wage? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but
Say-
right now, we're running more mutual aid than they're running for us. On here, I mean, in the last 2 weeks, we ran 6, and we picked, and 5 came to help.
But I would say that this is a little bit skewed because Amy's running a lot of these from home.
Well, I take that, I understand that, that's gotta stop, I
Yeah.
agree.
But I don't know, like, rather than Louisville calling us and being like, you gotta hire more people, we cannot keep running mutual aid. Is there some sort of incentive that when Louisville runs for us, we have some sort of premium that we send them? Like, and say, hey, we're throwing the money that we're saving for you because we've gotta get these
Yeah.
calls run.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't. I think at the end of last year, we weren't overusing them.
Yeah.
And we've.
We're better than we
I feel
were.
like we are currently in more of a mutual system,
Yeah, we're doing just as much for them as they're doing for us.
currently.
Correct.
I hope to keep it that way. But I don't know. I mean, the meetings that we had when we had talked to them about any kind of a district had kind of stopped when their city manager
Passed.
passed.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not even sure what the logistics would have been on that, so I don't know that that was specifically the answer. I do know that they are sometimes running short over there too, but to them, that might mean 3 people instead of 5, where for us, it means
We have no one
there
there.
might be nobody there, so I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know, and like I said, I just want to be actively having the discussion, like, we need to keep looking at what are some things that we can do to retain our people, to motivate our people, to continue to.
I keep thinking of ideas, but it just, what does it look like when you run from home? When you run from home, do you clock in, run your run, come back, put the truck away, clock out and go home?
Mhm.
Okay, so is there an incentive for that?
No.
Okay, but I feel like if you give an incentive to that, you're gonna have the same thing. I'll wait at home. You know, I'm not gonna fill Amy's shifts because I'm gonna wait at home for the phone to ring because I get an extra bump.
Yeah, there's only a couple of us that live here,
Okay.
that's the problem.
Well, and maybe that's the question is there an incentive we need to put in place for those that live here that are running from home to at least give you a little more money in your pocket to be able to justify the babysitter when you're running?
Not currently,
Okay.
there's nothing that we do right now.
But maybe it's if you take a run and you're not on call,
Right?
that's where you get, so you didn't take a shift.
Yeah,
Well, and that's a possibility too.
that doesn't fix our problem,
No.
but it gives those that are
No.
running from home a little bit of extra help in that category. When Ben says, I'm gonna throw your radio out the window because you can't keep leaving, at least there's a little bit of incentive to be like,
But
well,
if you
I'm getting
didn't
premium.
leave, then Louisville or Mutual Aid
Or
would be
gonna-
taking the call.
that's right. That's right.
And
But that's not good when it's our residents.
just a couple of questions.
Yep.
When the people, like I noticed
They just
Nelson and the ones that do help us out a lot more, make themselves available.
'Cause
When they work at other fire departments, like, is Dale a full-time somewhere else?
City of Salem.
Okay, how many hours would he be working there? Like I just saw his last pay, he had in 14 days, he had 137 hours. So
He
how
was
many-
on vacation from his other job,
Okay,
so that was
but
why
I
he
see
ended up
he's up,
making more.
he usually cranks the hours
He
out
works every third day there. So
every
he will.
third day.
Mhm.
So he's
he
on
will-
what, a 24-hour
24,
shift? When he
48.
goes on there every 3 days, he's on a 24-hour
He's
shift.
on, so then he would be on 48 hours straight. So he'll work 7 here, leave here, drive to Salem, work 8 a.m. to 8 a.m., and then he's off for a day,
Okay,
if he does that.
if he does that.
Mhm.
So he's off those 3 or 4 days before he starts another shift?
No,
or
he's off one day,
One day.
one day.
So is that trend with these other people that I see that only work maybe 20, 30 hours?
Yeah.
Are they doing the same thing or are they working
So,
other places? also?
Most of them are working other places that are their main job, and they're picking up other shifts. So
At that job, I mean, how many of the firefighters
mhm.
that are working the other full-time, and I don't mean to use Dale as an example, because he's
Yeah.
not, he sounds like he's helping us the most, but how many of the firefighters that work, say, a full-time at Jackson, I'll use Dan, for example, if he's working up there full-time and he's making himself available a little bit here, is how many other ones are like that, does he work like Dale does, like works a day and then a 24 hour?
I would say that most of your 15
I
are
would
working a
say,
full-time.
Yeah.
most of.
The only two that are not working full-time jobs somewhere else are Rich, so Steve Rich, because he is retired from the city of Canton. And he is working like 3 and 4 days a week for us, just days. Like he only works daytime, but he is
Right.
working.
But that helps.
Helps a ton. And then Casey is in nursing school. But to be honest, she's working almost what would be full-time hours for us. She's usually working 2 12-hour night shifts and a 24, which is 48 hours a week.
Right.
So that's pretty much full-time.
I want to thank.
Go back to her. Is she gonna go to nursing then?
So I would guess at some point she will. She has a little bit of time until she finishes her nursing degree.
Yeah.
But I mean, my guess would be yes.
So
She'll
she's
make
gonna make a lot more
more money
money.
as a nurse.
Yeah. I want to appreciate Amy and what she's doing. In the meeting that I was in with the group of firefighters, and the team there, I don't know, are there 6, 8 people, something like that. Everyone in this room said, I love working here. And if the wage were higher, now this is the problem though, we're not full-time.
Yeah, we're not.
So the conversation was, if the wage were higher, I would come here and work. All of them want to work at Osnaburg, but they're all working for under the wage of what their regular job is. So even upping the wage, like even us saying, okay, the 16s are now 20, even doing that, we're still not offering full time. So they're still not coming. Like they're not making their move to us. Like I looked Lindsay straight in the face and I said, what brings you back full-time benefits? Like I don't come back unless there's a full-time job. So we either have to figure out how to like sweeten the pot of the part-times. Like our part-time job has to be so much better than everyone else's part-time, or we're going to just fight this. I mean, truly.
So it would be cheaper to increase our wage than to make it full-time with benefits.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, agreed.
But I don't know that we can do that without a levy. I mean, we can't.
Right.
You know, we couldn't give a $3 or $4 wage across the board. We'd never be able to afford that without new money, of course.
Amy, when we adjusted, and I know we were way low when we adjusted wages from the 13, 14s up to 16 to 18, 19, we first saw a little spike that people were making themselves available. Did you see them making comments at the other place they worked at? They did the same thing. Literally.
Yeah, some of the places did go up, some didn't. And honestly, several of our people have just gotten full-time jobs other places. So people who were working 3 and 4 part-time jobs and kind of spreading their availability out now have a full-time job somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have less availability for us.
I'm going to probably answer myself with it. Is there people wanting to do this out there? If the money was there, like new people coming in?
Yeah, I think some. Yeah, I mean, and we talked about this too, like at the end of the day, it's cheaper to keep the people we currently have and make them
absolutely.
happier. I mean, we're looking at not
Absolutely.
getting more gear, not doing more
It's
training.
way cheaper to keep people out.
But
So is it possible for us to have specific, maybe 4 full-time positions and then the rest part-time? And not take the whole roster to full-time? Is that something that might be more manageable?
It depends how you go about it, because one full-time person with benefits is $100,000.
I bet it's more than that.
Well,
Well,
it's
it's a
$100,000
formula-
because
it's a
if you're
formula-
paying them
it's a
40,
formula
50
levy just
grand,
fired.
and then their health care on a family
Yep.
plan is 26,000. There's 78,000.
Yep.
So you pay workers' comp, that's another 4 or 5. So you're at 80
Yep.
on one. So every person is going to cost you $100,000.
Yep.
So it's not that easy. You put 4 people, that's $400,000.
What's the total on salaries right now?
Right now, it's running with the, just off the top of my head, that's 90 plus, it's over 300 some $1,000 right now.
Yeah, but you're not even 3 people.
Yeah.
You're not even in the ballpark.
Yeah. That's why I say, you're running a volunteer fire and you're at 300,000 without benefits. You go and put full-time people with benefits, even 3 or 2,
You'll double that.
it's gonna be a lot of money.
But, I mean, help me out when you say volunteer. Part-time?
The way it is right now,
Yeah.
like a person that's in there now,
Okay,
it's not, if you take those people and let's say Dale Nelson then says, hey, I'll work for you guys full-time now.
Mhm.
Okay, he's already making 40-some thousand dollars a year, working volunteer.
Working part-time, you mean?
Part-time.
Working part-time.
Not volunteer.
But now you
part-time.
throw the benefits into him,
Right.
now that costs additional $26,000 to $28,000 of that benefits, plus everything goes up. You'll be in retirement stuff, everything in there. That's why I say it's
So
about
this
$100,000.
is my question though. Could you come up with some creative way to make our part-time position the best part-time position out there?
That's what I'm
Like,
trying
could you
get
say to
through.
yourself, all I want to do is leave my full-time job to go work for Osnaburg an extra shift because they pay bank? Like, I'm asking, like, that's still cheaper than 4 full-time employees. I'm just throwing it out there. Now, true that if we have full full-time employees, we're not going to absolutely double our payroll because those 4 full-time people are going to work. They're going to work full-time shifts.
Well, you
so-
got 3 of your volunteer fire working a lot, almost those 3 of them right now. That's why I'm saying, when I look at them, I just looked at the last spread there.
Yeah.
And you had 3 people that had over 48 hours
Mhm.
a week right now. And there's 3 of them on there now. So, okay, now they become full-time with benefits and all. You just tacked on.
I have a question for you. The people that are out there with full-time jobs, they have benefits, they have healthcare, or they have retirement healthcare. Is there a way to pay more credit in retirement for that person? Is that the incentive to say, you get a wage, you get no healthcare, but if you come work for us part-time, we will pay OPERS a structure for you. And they might say, listen, my part-time job pays into my retirement.
My part-time job.
You'd have to
pays into
raise
it.
their wage.
No, her part-time job pays into it.
Quad pays into overs.
Right, but they don't pay more than what the OPERS requires. I think the formula is set by the state.
I have no idea.
I mean, you're paying into OPERS, but it's a set formula.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I guess my thought is,
You'd have to pay them
if
more
you
per
were
hour to
full-
get more paid
if
into
you were a
OPERS.
full-time person here getting full-time OPERS, can you work for another entity and get more retirement? Does that make sense?
If we were paying into OPERS for our fire department,
Yeah.
it would go in and she would get more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would have had 16 years of paying into it at both my part-time jobs instead of just one.
She would just have more in there and her
And-
retirement would be
Well,
higher.
I guess that's my question is that to me, paying a chunk into OPERS is definitely cheaper than putting
You
benefits
wouldn't have
on
to
the
pay it
table.
on all of them. I don't think you can
You
pick
would.
and choose.
Yeah, correct.
The only way you could pick and choose if somebody was full-time, then you don't have to pay it on the rest. You only have to pay it on the full-time.
Sure. Sure.
That's why I said, could we do a couple full-time, but
Now, Louisville right now has a full-time chief and everyone else is part-time.
Correct.
That's the way their model is set up currently. So they have 1 full-time employee. Now, he might say he might get him in a room and he says, that's tough. It's tough. I don't know what Amy would say about that, and even if she'd want that position. But if you have a full-time person that's in there, they're going to work their full-time shift, which helps a little. But it doesn't solve your problems. It solves some of your
Well,
problems.
that's what I have a hard time, and I'm going back to my grocery stuff. If you're full-time, it sounds like, and I hate to use Dale every time, he works 24, he's off 3 days.
No,
No, normal,
no, 2.
okay, he's off 2, then he works a day. So it's on, off. So he's working more than 48 hours at his other job.
No. So he's working 2 days a week at his full-time job, and if it's a week he works 2 days for us, he's working 4 24-hour shifts.
Well,
in
my
a
point
7-day
is
period.
he's only working 2 days there in a 7-day period, because he's working 2 days a week.
What he's saying is your full-time person is only
You
giving
still
you,
need,
only
you
giving
still
you 2
need to
days.
cover another 4 days.
Yeah, right.
And I kept thinking, that's 3 people, but then is that giving you the depth? Because you still need 2 people to go out every time. So now you're talking
Yeah,
more.
I think we all agree we can't afford a full-time fire department with benefits and healthcare. We all agree to that. So we've got to figure out a way to make our part-time job better. That's what we have to do. I mean, we're not going to get our 15 people to be like, we love Osnaburg so much that we're going to take less pay. We're not gonna do that.
Well, that's why I was just, my mindset is going the 24-hour shift. I kept thinking, when I first heard that, when I first come here, I didn't know you firefighters worked like that. You work a 24-hour shift. I mean, normally, yeah, there's people that help us out and work 8 or 12 hours. But I didn't realize that's kind of the realm with everybody. You work a 24-hour shift, or you might work a double 24 in some of them. But you got 2 days in, and you can have off tentatively 4 days possibly, because you got your 2 or 5 days off. That's what's going through my head, to make it worthwhile for that person to come here more.
Amy, real quick, do any of the outside factors play into this? Like your uniform allowance, can we change any of that to sweeten the deal? And will it help?
I don't think enough, so.
Okay.
I mean, you can say, oh, we're gonna give you more uniform allowance or other things. I don't think any of those factors.
I think money, they would want.
I think money and or benefits are what people are looking for.
Right.
Yeah, which, I mean, is the case, people can be on their parents' benefits until they're 26.
And then they're not.
They gotta figure something out. And so for a long time, our younger people worked for us and worked a lot of hours and were on their parents' healthcare. And then at some point you gotta figure something out.
Yeah. What you were saying when you said you'd give them money to them, they would invest it into a Roth or into something else. Like you wouldn't pay into overs. You would give them a wage and then, is that what you were saying earlier? You'd either up their wage or give them a wage and then a retirement that they could invest themselves.
We could, as a township, pick up an option that people could go into an IRA or something like that if they
Okay.
wanted to
Got
put money in.
Yeah. Okay.
We could also say that if you put money in, we'll match it. But you'd have to do it for all
Yeah,
employees.
I understand.
Yeah. I think what's going to impact them more is the increasing the wage to make them come here part-time.
Yeah.
If we're not going to offer benefits, then we need to increase the wage so high that they'll work their full-time job for their benefits. That's their priority, to get their health care. The second priority is then when I go pick up my extra shifts, what are they going to do?
It's us, yeah. Which they all do. They all
They do.
work somewhere else.
They have to make the most here.
So Amy, before we move on, so that we can kind of look at this, and I know Brian's over there punching numbers in his head, but what would those numbers look like? What would the hourly wage have to be realistically? What would the hourly wage have to be that you feel that people would say, I'd rather work for Osnaburg as my B job?
I mean, honestly, looking at what other people make other places, for me at Quad, I made 20 as a medic. I made 20.
Okay.
I think 20 is pretty comparable across the board for a paramedic for a part-time job.
Okay.
I know that's pretty close to what they make at North Canton. I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to make with their new contract at Louisville. Don't quote me on that. I just know it's close to that amount.
Oh, they're doing a new contract in Louisville.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, they're not gonna leave. You might as well just go to 22, because they're gonna raise.
Right, it's going to have to be higher.
You're 25, because they'll probably go, well, I can get a job done, well, we'll give you the 22.
What about when you think of your different scale, your
Mhm.
officer pays?
Yeah.
What's the low side versus the high
Yeah,
side?
what's your
What kind
range?
of
What's your
spread
range?
would you think would be there?
So I think 17 for your EMT is going to be, I mean, that's a couple dollars more than they make now. I think that's going to be.
But is that MT, not to interrupt, but does that MT make 20 at the other job, or is it?
No. So an EMT is a lower certified person than a paramedic.
Okay.
So they're making less per hour because they carry less certification, they carry less,
Experience.
well, not necessarily experience, but they have less, they're not pushing medication. They're not-
Oh, okay.
See, when I
Less
look at,
trained.
when
So
I
they're
look
making
at
maybe
when I
17.
look at the payroll, we could afford to take those people to an 18 or 19
Mhm.
and move the other people up to 21, 22. What do you think that would do?
I think that would help a lot.
I mean, do you think they would come out of the woodwork,
I'm
the people
hoping.
we have now,
I
and
do.
make themselves available?
I do, because I think for a lot of them that work multiple places, that's gonna be more, but I don't know. I mean,
I think we have to be higher. We can't be the same.
I agree with that. I would agree with that. But can we afford that?
I
We were
know,
just talked
I
about how a mill gets us back to,
I know.
Yeah.
my sheet said negative
$67,000
$67,000 for 2022. That's what you're shooting for.
Well, but at that point, how many
Oh,
shifts
whoa.
did we not pay for? So it's really that
No,
negative
you're
is higher
right.
than that.
You're right. We've got shifts we're not filling.
Yeah.
So 17 is the low end and 22 is the high end. So if someone on the high end, if somebody comes in and works at $22 an hour and they also get the premium pay, the 20,000 has been set aside for next year. So we're through the 23 year. So that person's going to make 32 when they're out on a call. Okay. And your $17 person is going to make 27. And if they're making
I think
17
they're
every
gonna have
work.
to be 18 because 17 is what they're getting.
Okay.
Do you think the people that aren't working at all, like I see some names that aren't, they've got 16 on the roster right now, but 13 made themselves available.
Mhm.
And I know one of them's been off for a while. Do you think the other three would come forth and make themselves available, or are they still not going to be on the roster?
One is overseas. Is that the one that one is in the military and he's
Okay.
deployed. Yeah, so it isn't gonna make a difference with him. One of them is coming back here,
All right.
like next week. And he had been just for personal stuff, and I don't know.
What I was looking at, trustees, that when I look at this, you only have, there's only 4 people that are presently working that are at the $15 an hour right now. Let's say hypothetically, they went to 17 or 18. Then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 5 that are at $16.50. Hypothetically, say they go to 20.
Probably 21.
And then you go to N21 or anything, and then you take your officers and you jack those all up over in the 22, 23, tier them up. Would that make some of the other ones that aren't here now, the coup of them, make themselves more available, and the ones that exist more available? I need to run some numbers to see how that might affect each payroll. Like, for example, a 2-week payroll right now is $12,034, $990. That's $1,000 of it's premium dollars, premium pay. Now, I'm just using one. You need to actually look at a whole bunch
Sure.
of these and do that. But I know the premium dollars are anywhere from $700 to $900 per pay right now.
Well, and we're asking Amy to look into a magic ball.
Yeah.
She's trying to run a part-time department and she can't say to them,
Yeah.
hey, you're a full-time employee, you have to work an after shift. She can't do that.
Right.
So we're going to throw more money at them and hopefully
Yeah.
they come, but she can't
Well,
force them to come.
That's what I
We
want to.
tried that, it didn't go
We
well.
tried that. I think.
I don't think you're gonna get them to quit a job for $1 either. I just don't think they'll do it.
See, yeah, I don't.
I think you're right.
I just want to think that they make themselves more available.
Well, and I guess the other thing I'd like to do is, obviously, we all talked about how the 15 people that are on a roster are cheaper to keep, way cheaper to keep. But if someone walks in your door and brings you an application and you say, we're at 18 to 24
Mhm.
with a premium pay of $10 an hour when you're out running, that's not bad. I mean, that when you look at that, you're thinking, okay, that's better than the guy down the road.
Mhm.
That's something. I'm not. Obviously, we want to keep our people that we have, but also when you start bringing new people in,
Is the full-time departments having trouble filling full-time positions?
Some of them, yes, some of them, no. Some of the ones that are overall better paying are not. Like at Canton Township, I don't know if you read any of the articles that were in the paper before they had their levy on, but like a 75% turnover rate because their full-timers can make more other places, and so they're getting hired out.
did they pass that levy?
No, they- no.
No, it went down.
How big was it?
I don't remember. Tom was trying to look and he couldn't see how
Yeah,
much
I'm
it was.
thinking-
I did talk to
I think
their
it was up there.
It was a 3 or 4.
It was,
3 or 4.
and I did talk to their chief and he said they had put it on early, so they're gonna put it on again. Like they put it on before.
He'd
they
kinda
maybe
planned on it
Absolutely
failing.
needed it. I don't know if they planned on it failing, but
Yeah.
they have the time to put it on again. But I did look at what some of the other departments around us, like their villages, and it's crazy how much more they run on than we do. Like Quazon is 7 mil.
Our auditor sent us Nimba shillings by mistake.
Yeah.
Give you an idea.
What is theirs?
Their collected money is 1.7 million.
Yeah.
Where ours is only 305,000.
1.7
And
million.
so what's all Nimba shilling have? How many full-time, what's all on them?
I'm not,
I know they have more
Yeah,
than
but
one.
they don't pay as much either.
Yeah, But
Or
think
the
about,
resident, that valuation's lower,
Say
yeah,
more residents.
because they have more business, they have
Yeah,
more.
oh, they have way more business, you're right.
but that's what when I look at that at $1.7
Yeah.
million, I'm thinking, okay, that's a heck of a levy right there. to
How much
generate-
more run volume
Oh,
does
yeah.
Quad have than we do?
Less.
So they have less call volume and they're working on a 7 mil levy.
It's not quite 7, I asked.
Wow.
but yeah.
Wow. So they got extra money.
Yeah, we got,
So can we do this? Can we let Brian punch some numbers, which is exactly what you wanted to do, I know. And can we talk about this the next meeting? I will not be here at the next meeting. I do apologize. I will be out of town. But I think we should table it for now. I think there's good discussions. I don't think we should probably make a decision until the fiscal officer. I mean, that's $3-4 hour raises for an hourly employee. That's a lot of money
I know,
over a period.
I know.
I know we wouldn't be able to do it as a status quo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm already showing you guys we have a
Yeah, I
deficit
get
now.
All right, well, let's punch those numbers and, all right, moving on, purchase of the new ambulance. We've talked about that a little bit. I'll go quickly. We've purchased the chassis. I got a paperwork back that says that it has been ordered. He said it would be built in the third quarter of this year. It'll be directly drop shipped to Lifeline as the builder. I'm going to contact Derek and get a new purchase agreement sent to me because this one's a little bit outdated.
Since we're in the fourth quarter, does that mean it's being built now then?
Yeah. No. Third quarter of 23.
Oh, the third quarter.
Third quarter of 23.
23.
It'll be built in the third quarter of 23.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still building. The way COVID messed people up enough. This is interesting. In the Ford dealerships, they're still running 2022s through their line. Never, it's ever happened before. They've never run a 22 in December, but they have all these parts. They never build anything.
Right.
So the 23s don't even start being produced until like in almost early February. It's wild. So you used to be able to buy a car before the year actually came. Not this year. All right, so third quarter. We've got all that going. Anything else for fire?
I need you to do a purchase order, but I just want to look at something I saw there. Give me 1 second. I have stuff suited to something. I don't see it on there. I thought it was on there. I have two things.
Okay.
This ambulance, we originally approved to approve up to $60,000 to
Okay.
get it. Now that we have it locked in, I would like a resolution on this $56,606 because I'm going to put that on American funds and lock it in before the end of this year.
Trustee Varian moves to make a motion to create a PO. Is that correct?
PO for out of the
Okay.
American fund.
To have a PO out of the American Rescue Funds for $56,606 for a new chassis for an ambulance. This is just the chassis, not the box. That will come later. This PO should be made to Liberty Ford, 5500 Warrensville Road Center, Maple Heights, Ohio 44137. The Maple Heights is the commercial side of Liberty Ford downtown in Canton. We did go through Liberty Ford in downtown Canton for the purchase of this, trying to keep it local.
Griffith seconds.
All those in favor?
All right.
And then one other thing I see that should have been here, and I don't see it, and I apologize, because you asked me that, and I thought I had everything on there. You know how at the meeting where I had a supplemental amount of funds that I didn't have everything appropriated in the 2022 year, but to do payroll, to make payroll click with the fire department and the soft billing, I had to do an additional 15,000 out of the soft billing. I'd like to ask you if you could do a resolution for 15,000. It's called a supplemental approval to add on to our appropriations for the 2022 year.
Trustee Varian moves to add a supplemental 15,000 to the 2022 fiscal year.
Thank you.
Payroll for fire.
Payroll for fire.
Griffith, go ahead.
Trustee Pierce saying.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay,
No, I think.
all right, cemetery report.
I know Ryan isn't here, and I was hoping he would be making it. I know he did have an open and closing on Margaret Latavo at the Mapleton Cemetery. I also know that I did get the Porta-John ordered to come. I know Stu, when I had this, I didn't get to update him. I did give the guy your number and my number for Friday. He's supposed to call, so that'll be coming up this Friday. And then, you know, if you're off shift and I should be around available, we need to just set it up like we did last year. I think we set it close to the backside of the church here, or I can't remember.
Actually, the last time we did it was clear back where you go around the U. We set it back way back there, but maybe last year was closer.
I know the one year
I was
we were
sick,
back-
remember? I just barely
Oh,
got out of the
well,
hospital.
that's what I was just now thinking. This last year it was closer to the
The
church,
back end of the
like the
church
back
there.
off that back ramp.
Okay.
It was closer there because that's where the congregation of people were mostly there. But that's, along with that, remind, this is the weekend of Wreaths Across America at noon on Saturday. I plan on being there and Stu, I know if he can help me, and I'm off that day so I can help with traffic control and what we need to do. Okay, that's all I have.
My family was planning on being out of town, but we had to change some things around, so I will be available to attend that, so I'll be there. It's in between some basketball games, but I think I can run over.
Are you able to do the noon thing?
Yep, if you can't do it.
Well, it'd be better because I think we got games at
1
way.
o'clock.
They're way.
Yeah,
That's home.
all
So
right.
I'm gonna come over for a little bit, but I'll be
Yeah,
there.
I've got Frankie and Canton.
It's
Yeah,
up to
It's a
you.
longer process.
Well, like I said, it's up to you.
yeah, I'll be there at noon.
You'll do it?
Yep.
All right.
I can leave Frankie's game and go, and then I've got 12:40 for, yeah. I'll go, and I'll just, if I feel like it's gonna be long, I'll just ask her to put me closer to the front.
Yeah, because it's a long ceremony.
Yeah.
But I'll thank you for being willing to go, but I'll do it. I can go. So.
And, let's see, recent, yeah, okay, we're okay. I was
I
thinking
think it's
that.
a home game Saturday.
That's all right.
It's a full game too,
Yeah.
full reserve game.
Okay, moving along, road report.
All righty, if the trustees have read over the road report, is there any questions they'd like to ask?
So why did you put snow markers up on lots?
So you can find out where the road's at. and only
Was that
has-
for you guys?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's when it blows through over there and
yank that ditch.
you can't
Is
make
that
out
the
inches
little-
because everything's straight across.
What is a snow marker? Is it just
It's those little fiberglass.
Yeah.
Yep, that we have along the
Fluorescent
driveway out
there.
here. There's a couple different places out through the township we do that because we
Can't
cannot
see.
tell where they're at.
While we're
And
in
they're
the-
deep ditches if
Yeah.
we go in.
While we're in the road report, and I don't want you to answer now, but I want you to think about it. I think that we're gonna have to do something with our sign out front here because it's broken off. It's ready to fall over.
Our trust, the
Our
building-
township
the township sign.
sign.
Okay.
So it's something we need to think about here.
Do we have any duct tape to?
Do we have any duct
At least
We
till
need to
after the first of the
upgrade that
year.
Do we have any
I
duct
think you got
tape?
some gorilla tape.
Oh man, Ryan's over there, sweat rolling down his forehead. Andy Parker meeting at the fire station. How'd that go?
Not good.
Good.
I think,
That's all been sent through, isn't it? I emailed all that to the district. Right, Brian?
Yeah, I can go ahead and do that. That one on our, that A, approval memorandum of understanding recycle site improvement signing.
Yep.
That document, when Trustee Shapiro and along with David Helm and Rachel and all of them, they've sent all this information to me, and I asked Stu and he worked on it with Andy. We got the proposals together. I know the original 30, I was just looking.
30-some hundred.
31,570, and then Andy's from Parker's was, his contracting, I asked him to put them together, was $14,784 to build that area up. He had broke it down into two chunks, but I asked him to do it together. So the project came to the 31,570 and then the 14,784. That's what I submitted into them for the memorandum that they asked that someone here sign. And before I signed that, I thought maybe Trustee Piro might want to sign it. The name and title, what they asked is that locks it in at $15,000. And they told me they can send it directly to whoever, if we want it to go to 2020 when we do chip and seal, or if we want to just do the beefing up of the park, or beefing it up, we can send to
So the whole project's 31 and they're paying 15?
the whole project. Add 31 plus the 14 on it.
So it's 40.
It's 45.
Chip and seal.
It's not
is
gonna be that high. It's
Yeah.
because he had to,
He had to do that. Yeah.
the chip and seal is probably.
We need to get the back end fixed though first. We're not
I
worried
sent
about
in,
chipping
they
and
wanted
sealing.
the scope of the whole project of
Okay.
beefing it up.
Right.
That's why it's so high. And the initial chip and seal was high.
Right, we didn't save that much for that.
No, we don't.
No, we don't have that much.
We don't have 45,000 minus 15 right now. But if you say did it, where you at least did the
Go in there. and-
beefing it up and get it all beefed up, then you can always work your chip and seal in. Whether you can still do it as part of the, when they're here on the road program, or if I can look at my
The chip
numbers
and
after the
seal,
first of the year.
I mean, there's no guarantee, but the chip and seal will most likely drop by at least 10 grand. He's just trying to price it out a year out. He doesn't-
Yeah, he had to do it a year
He's
out.
gonna
He didn't know what
protect
the
himself.
prices or anything was gonna be.
So he padded it heavy.
Yeah.
Because I think it was what, 16 the last time they chip and sealed it?
Mm,
It was something like around that amount, plus some, I know we did in-house work. I don't know what was involved with how much. It wasn't as much as what we're looking at doing here, though, beefing it up real good.
Well, you don't know. He said you don't know what the price of oil is going to be. It's coming down right now, but it might go up again. Who
Right,
knows?
right, we don't know. So. All the trucks are ready to go. Tractor's fixed,
Great.
stumps in the bin.
When he says the tractor's fixed, that's your number B on there.
Yes.
That's
Okay,
your then
that's
and
the
now
then and
purchase
now.
order.
All
That
right.
was the bill for the 310 backhoe.
And the vendor is called Ag Pro.
Yes.
All right.
Trustee Piro moves to pay Ag Pro $1,725.83 for a shifter, for reverse shifter.
Trustee Griffith seconds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. Anything else for the roads?
So we're gonna wait on the truck for now, because it's probably gonna go up here in January.
I don't think we have a choice. We have to wait a
Money
little
between
bit.
them.
Well, you got your capital fund.
Did you and Stu get the actual additional price locked in? I know,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have it.
Total, I had
I
to,
don't have it. That's why I'm asking. Do you guys have it?
I have it over in my office. It was 223,000 some odd dollars.
Yeah, I have your original one of just the truck and cab, 131,490.
Yeah, for the chassis.
Well, I think we need to decide what we're doing on these levies before we do anything else.
Mhm.
We're not, it's hard to sit here and say, yeah, buy this, we don't have the money for it.
I think we got the money, you just gotta take it out of the capital funds.
I don't think we have the money. Out of the AR money, we don't have enough right now.
The only way I can make it even closely work will drain out both our capital funds, one for the ambulance side, and depending, keep in mind, if anything comes in lower, we can make it work. I have to lock stuff in by April.
What are you gonna do with the money if you don't buy this truck?
You give it back. Or you
That's
find
why,
another use for
why
it.
would you not use your
I
capital
just,
funds?
They're not trying to
remember
say
what
it.
remember what I said, you guys talked about the mini. But I'm telling you right now, if we don't do something here pretty soon with that.
The mini's
boom
already
mower,
taken care of out of the regular
Okay.
budget.
But
But
we're
boom
talking about
mower,
the boom mower.
That
But
boom mower
let's-
is gonna come
let's-
apart
we have
one of
plenty
these
of
days,
stuff
and it ain't
to
gonna be
put it on.
fixable.
Let's talk about this though. All right, what money goes back if we don't spend it? The 380 minus an ambulance, right? Is that,
If you use the whole amount, I was gonna use the capital fund along with the American Rescue to give us more money to go to the road truck originally, but it still wouldn't be enough.
but we don't, the capital fund's our money. We just gotta worry
Yes.
about, we gotta worry about the money that goes
We just
back.
have to use the
Of course.
three.
Right.
Yeah.
How much,
So if we're at 380,000 minus the ambulance, what do we have left on that? 100 grand, right?
Right. That's just a rough
You're
number.
445,000 no, I got the wrong number here.
But we don't wanna give that money back.
Yeah, we're not.
I'm just saying, that's what ultimately happened.
Yeah.
You gotta find another use for it. I would
Right.
just use it for something else.
Could you buy a mini and fix
We
your
never,
flow
we
mower?
never
and
had
then-
a resolution in place to
boom
get
mower.
that road truck yet because we didn't
Do you
have
have
any
pricing
locked
on
in
that?
prices. So you could.
I had
lock
talked to
something
them,
else
I'd
in.
have to get them to send me a quote. I called and talked to Tiger out there about that back here months ago and asked him about that, and he said, yes, he says, we could actually put a brand new head on that boom. But when I think about how much work we've done to that boom and re-welded it, I don't want to take the chance on it. It was like 15,000 some, he said, for the deck itself. If you put the brand new deck and the boom and hook it to the tractor, it was around 35,000.
And what's the quality of the tractor?
The tractor's in good
It
shape.
don't matter. If you can't afford a truck,
You can't afford a
tractor.
tractor.
So a question for you, Brian, does it make more sense?
Tractor runs perfect.
Tell me what you think. Does it make more sense to pay the entire ambulance out of the American Rescue Funds and then move the capital money from the ambulance over to the road truck? Or can you not do that?
Say that again.
Does it make more sense to pay for the entire ambulance out of the American Rescue Funds and set it before April? And then if we have to reallocate the 75,000 that's in the account for the ambulance in the capital fund, put it into the road truck?
No, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
Can't reallocate.
That money went into that capital fund for the ambulance out of the ambulance fund, and you can't move it into another.
So the 75,000 in the capital fund for the ambulance has to be spent first before the
Well,
American Rescue
it's not that it
Funds.
has to be
It doesn't
spent
have to
first.
be.
It
It
just
has to
can't be spent on the truck.
It can't be spent on a road truck. It has to be
All right.
spent on.
It has to stay in the
It's
fund.
not in there how.
I'm agreeing with Randy as we start punching numbers. We're gonna have too much money in that American Rescue Funds. Because now 75,000 of that, now you're at almost 200,000. Once
You
the
don't
ambu-
have to use the 75,000 in the fund for the ambulance. It can sit there. You can pay the whole thing out of the American Rescue. You just can't take that 75 and use it on something else.
I got you. I
It
got
has
you.
to
I
stay
got
in
you. I got
fire.
you. I see what you're saying.
Trustees, just so
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I can make it work. You're just I'll have to get a balance of some of the regular road funds. That's your problem. That's gonna take away from your road project money, like to do roads. It won't hurt the mini because I have that money sitting there ready to go.
Well, let's go back to the trade-in value. What do we have sitting out there? What's that gonna bring us back?
You said something like 15,000.
15 to 20? Something.
Well, let's say, what'd you say? All right, so if you take, I don't think you should leave the 75,000 sit in there because it's tied up. You can't do anything with it. Are you planning on buying another ambulance in the next year or two? Then use the money,
No,
Get
that's what I want. That's what you gotta, trustees, you gotta
get it
remember.
out of there.
I can change stuff a little bit, but I already had planned on using that capital fund. Actually, we were supposed to put more money in both them capital funds, and I don't
But
have
we
it
didn't,
put in.
right?
All
I
right, so you're
can't.
265, you take off the 75,000.
Tell me what you want to
So
do.
you're at 190.
And then I'll figure
So
it.
you got,
It's my name that goes on it.
you got 380,000 out.
You got $380,000 to spend to buy
380.
your $220,000 road truck and your $260,000 ambulance. Do the math on that first.
That's 190,000. So we got 190,000
After you buy
after
the
we
ambulance.
take out for the ambulance.
Right.
So you take your 20, you already got 50 in the road, and you haven't even sold the truck yet.
You're doing speculations. You have to do it. where you
You've
have
got
to have
more
it
money
set
than
down.
what you need. You have 240,000 with your road, with the COVID money and the
American Rescue money. It isn't COVID money. It's
American Rescue
Yeah,
money
so-
into 50,000. You have 240,000. The truck's at 223. Right, Stu?
You're putting that together and the ambulance and your,
Yes, you take the ambulance,
was 260 some thousand.
So we had 365,000.
265,000. You take off 75,000 from your capital fund. That makes, you need 190,000 left to pay the balance of your ambulance. So we got 380,000 in the American Rescue Funds. Minus 190,000 is 190,000. You got 190,000, and you have 50,000 in your road department capital fund. So 190,000 plus 50,000 is 240,000.
And how much is the truck?
Up 223,
220 something.
over 223,000.
You got two trucks, one's how old are they, 13 years and
One's an 07 and 09.
How much is the ambulance going to be with the other? What price am I supposed to go on your cab? Because I'm looking at the stuff you.
So
gave me.
then,
I
if
just
we do
wanna make
that,
sure
there's
I'm
nothing
on
to
it.
fix the mini and nothing to fix the.
he's
boom.
already got
No, the Mini's already got the money
Mini's
for the
already
Mini.
taken care of. It's set
It's
aside.
already set aside,
Okay.
All right,
So what about the
so,
boom mower?
all right, so,
but we gotta have to do something to fix the boom mower here one of these days. And
all right. So if you just do all the math up,
I'm just
380 is American, plus 75 in the ambulance fund, plus 50 in the road, gives you 505,000. If you subtract, what was it, 230?
223,000 for the truck.
So call it 225 for sake of.
260, what was it, Brian?
Is
260.
that
And
the
then
snow
call it
plows on that truck
265.
too?
It's
then?
everything.
Everything. It's totally
You'd have
ready to go.
15 grand left. You'd have 15 grand if you use up all of your capital funds and if you use up all of your American Rescue.
There's
funds.
the mower deck.
You have 15 grand left.
And do you know that our ambulance price is locked in at the 272?
The 272 is going to be on the high end. We tried to go high on it, but
I mean, that
This
might,
needs to
it
be
can't
re-
fluctuate.
I mean, they gave us. I wouldn't see it fluctuating. What we could do with the fluctuation is
You
we can
didn't get
take.
any surcharges on any of that stuff or emissions charges?
Oh, I'm sure it's all on there. Yeah, yeah. There's emissions charges on there.
They're putting it on everything.
Oh, they're putting it on everything. But what we could do is whatever difference we have here, we're hoping to get 7,000 out of the old one. So they're going to give us 5 on trade-in, which we think is low. But call it 5 to 7,000. If there's any difference in the ambulance, we're going to take the trade-in and put it toward it. Is my plan. But I think we're fair at that 265.
You're also, I mean, you can't go up. It's speculation, but you could get a Reeboks. Then you got another 100,000.
Oh, if we got a Reebok,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's staying
This
100
thing's gonna
grand.
be a whole year at least
yeah.
before you
If
see
we got
it.
a Reeboks and had them do a Reeboks, we're going to save a bunch of money.
I'm just reminding you, you have to have this money
Got to have
locked
it set
in.
aside.
You gotta have it locked in. You can't go past April.
Yeah.
So you tell me you're gonna give me.
Well, I would
locked-in
say this,
pricing
Randy. I
before
would
that.
say.
Yeah,
just
I
need
would
to
say
know
this.
that.
I would say if we have it in the capital funds and we have the American Rescue Funds, we have to spend it anyway. Go ahead and buy the new truck. Go ahead and buy the new ambulance and buy them new. Spend your Reeboks money the next time because we're not going to have the American funds. We're not going to have that 380.
What I'm
You know what I'm
saying,
saying?
what I'm saying is, all right, so right now we can cover our bases. But if sometime between now and April, all of a sudden that.
Prices go up.
The Reeboks comes in,
Mhm.
then we say, okay, we're gonna buy a new mower. We're gonna buy this. We'll spend the money. You got till April to allocate it. And in worst case scenario, you take the extra 15, allocate it to the boom mower, and then whenever we got the other 15, we'll put her together. It'll have to sit. As long as it's allocated, correct?
Yes,
It's got to be allocated. Yeah.
that's why those, it's so nice if Trustee Varian and Trustee Piro had exactly what this is gonna cost. Not, well, we get so much out of this back, or we're gonna return it. That's
No,
hard for me. That's hard for
Do
me
you
to
have
do
a
that.
formal official bid on that
The
truck?
223,000.
Yeah, we had the total chassis and the total bed.
Can we see it?
It's in there somewhere.
those are hard numbers.
Yeah, I would give you a solid number, Brian, if someone gave me a solid
Well,
number.
that's what I said. It's not that,
So-
it's not, we can sit here and
And I can
talk.
ask solid numbers all day, but they laugh at me.
Mhm.
You know, I'm glad to give you a solid number. When
But
someone-
if your number's correct and our number's correct, and you take the 15, you haven't. So
So
it
his numbers can fluctuate.
No, I don't know.
ain't
that-
gonna go up much.
I don't know that it's gonna go up more than-
265,000.
No.
So you have 15 left of the rescue funds, and you haven't sold the ambulance or the dump truck. So you got enough money. Once you sell them, then you take what you got and see if you got enough to buy the mower.
Yeah, you could do that. You could sell those 2 vehicles.
And then everything's
See where you
covered.
are.
You get out,
But
you
you
get
know you're
all.
not gonna get much for the ambulance.
Probably not.
If the truck's.
So I just need the total on your box. I just need
Yeah,
the dollar amount.
But 20,000 plus 15, 45. He's talking 30.
I
He's
just
not
want
gonna
the
get
total on your box.
No,
On the-
5 for the
on the-
ambulance.
on
I got
the
all the
box.
truck.
Okay. That's what this is.
I told Amy, I said, if we run this thing a whole nother year, and we look at we get on Gov deals when we get close, when they call us and say, hey, your ambulance is 2 weeks away. Yeah, we're gonna get, with graphics allowance, it's gonna come ready to go, turnkey. Then we go out in the world and say, okay, what does Gov deals have? And if there's no other ambulances out there, if they're all $5,000, we let them take it on trade. Then don't mess with it. You know what I'm saying? I can see you buy. But at that point, if they're getting $8,000, it does us good diligence. Just put them on there and sell
Oh,
it.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
Stu, do you know how long this quote's good for? Because this is from October.
I know.
I talked to him for the last meeting. I did not talk to him for today, but if we go past January 1st,
Then it probably changes going into the
I
new
wanna
year.
know
I thought he
how
said.
much
he
okay.
told me
That's what he knows
I
about.
would have to call him in the morning,
I wanna
but he
know
was
what the-
pretty
what's in that
sure he
time.
could hold it until the end of the year.
And once I know that, I can tell him.
He wouldn't guarantee, he wasn't gonna step any farther than that.
Right. That's both from R&R and the other one's from Glen Hill for the bed. and the
What kind of
files.
truck is this?
Matt?
So are we adding the steel pan, leaving that or on that oil pan? What did you decide?
What is it? It's stainless oil pan, isn't it?
I thought it was stainless.
If you want the stainless, it says you have to add $3,275 more on.
And you know.
I'll ask Tom about it. I thought he said it came.
prices, then
I thought he said
count
it came
for
with it.
I want to know what.
No.
it's gonna be.
It's optional.
That's all I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
You don't want to count trade-ins? No.
Well,
No.
if you're gonna count it as a trade-in
So that
on
puts you up
this.
at-
I want to
I'm
know,
okay.
I want to know we can afford
That's
it
if you
without.
add it. You don't
But
have
that's
to add
only,
it.
that's without.
Trade-ins.
You don't have to.
Because
add
I
that.
can just
You
take
don't-
less out away from the capital.
We don't
So
have it
use up
now.
all the American funds.
Then we
But I'll
get,
tell you what,
we got a hole in the.
that thing's totally equipped. There ain't nothing we gotta do to that thing. That lights, nothing. I mean,
Brian, can I-
it was
what was the-
a really well put together
Yeah, it's right here.
truck.
Like that.
Is the package from
506
somebody
and 6.
different then?
Let me know.
Let him.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I have that down because I want to look at it the way I look at it from the auditor's side.
Glen Hill's the same people who did our other truck sitting out there right now.
If you went with the stainless steel oil pan, it would be 226,357.
No. I wasn't worried about it because I didn't think we were gonna probably order the truck. 'Cause I didn't think we were gonna have enough money. that's something we have to decide if we're gonna move forward with it.
Well, I don't think we can count the resale on the vehicles because we don't know what we're gonna get. That's
Yeah,
the
I
thing.
agree.
We're not counting.
Yeah,
No,
well,
we're not counting.
that will go toward the next project.
Well, he needs to allocate this money, so I said, take the balance, allocate it.
I know how to do that, Randy. I just need to know what the locked-in price is without trade-ins, and if you guys work a deal out, get more out of them, then I'll take less away from the ambulance, or the capital.
The funds.
And it'll help me that way. I want to use the American Rescue money, but
No,
Like
you
say I don't
won't,
need-
you won't need to for the vehicles. See, that'll allocate your money up. Use the money for something else when you resell them.
All right. 272,922.
That's what yours is?
Yep. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call Derek. And I'm gonna ask him to, see, what I did was I went through and I took out the chassis, I took out the trade-in, I took out the power cot. I'm gonna have him go through and retype this for me, but those are the rough
So if I
numbers.
add that to the price of the truck and I take away the 75,000, I take away the 50,000. And how much do we have?
380.
Okay, that's about as close as you're gonna get.
That's
We're
about
at
as close as you're gonna
374, so we're basically 375 and we only have 380.
That's right.
Those fed up is leaving.
Stu, will you start looking at a few signs around at other townships?
What?
Look at some of what the other signs are other townships have. Just start looking.
Oh,
'cause
for
we're
like
gonna-
out front here?
Yeah. Yeah, ours is pretty bad. It's hard to
Well, I
see.
mean, we've always went through, I ain't gonna even talk to him right now, he's over
No.
the country.
But I'd like to see what other townships have up. I don't want to put the same thing back up.
What about those ones that we put down at the cemeteries and stuff? Like those?
I have to go back over and look at them. I mean, makes us look like we're a hip town.
Times are tough.
Hmm?
Times are tough. Yeah, we knew it's been getting worse and worse every year. Sometimes I swear I think the guys are pushing up against it with the mowers when they're mowing. It's only because of Detroit lean.
Stu, is his truck red?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a graphic allowance or we have to put graphics on it? We'll have to letter it.
Yeah, we'll have to probably do that, which we already have the guys
Okay.
at, Pro Art or whatever. They've already got it in their
Got
system.
everything. Great.
Yep.
What do you charge us for the other truck? To do the lettering on the.
Well, that costs a little more because they had to
Create it.
create it, yeah.
Yeah,
So we paid a couple,
Setup.
$200-$300 more for the setup. Now, he said when we come back,
yeah, but what was it for that?
I don't remember.
The ambulance is 4,000, and I assume they're figuring setup because I know that they, and that's probably a lot more graphics.
Oh,
No,
good Lord,
no.
no. It's only a couple $100.
Yeah. I mean, if
$200,
they
$300,
$4,000
$400 just to put that on there.
There's a lot more.
So other than you said it comes lights, it comes ready to go.
Everything on there.
It comes with a Christmas tree freshener and
Does it have the radio in it?
What?
Does it have the radio in it?
Oh, yeah.
The,
What type of radio you talking about?
you talk to each other back.
Oh, heck no, they don't have that.
And so
CB.
you're gonna need one of those.
We'll take it out of the other truck. No.
We don't have radios that work in our trucks now, Greg. We can't even use them. We use our cell
Oh,
phones. What? I get about every third word.
I'm just asking you, Stu, because we're about $5,000 max, so we have to know everything else. You're gonna come back and say, well, we need this, we need that.
Is it total what you do?
Yeah, well, I ain't even worried about radios because we don't have one that works in our truck.
Well, you need radios.
What
Well,
it is,
we don't have to.
50, that's off the
They've
capital
gotten
fund.
worse ever since the fire department changed and went to their other.
75 off this
systems,
number off the
and-
ambulance to get that new number.
Yep.
Yeah, them
They don't work
together, there's
Don't
their
you have
total.
like CVs?
You
can
know,
share with
we
each other?
use out in the darn things and we try to use them.
Then after
You got to
call.
there's
CVs that you
what
can
you have.
We have CVs that them only
This is
range
what
so
you have
far.
left. Use
When
the
I'm clear up here up
number.
north and Brian's down south, you
Money
ain't gonna
will be
make it.
sitting.
You gotta
You
have
better.
it a
I
mile
guess you
each
could
other.
call him on the cell phone.
What?
You can always call him on the
Because
cell
I'm gonna
phone.
use
but
that.
That's what we
rescue
do.
number.
But it's
There's
kind
no
of a
sitting
pain
in
because you gotta get your
American
phone
Yeah.
out.
Now.
Try to go
you
like this
get
instead of
more
grabbing the
money
mic
out of
going,
the
hey.
trade.
Yeah.
Randy gets more
Yeah,
trade.
they
and this
have
number
better
goes up.
CVs.
Okay?
Okay, so,
Oh.
so after some deliberation here, if we do both vehicles as they're proposed, as they're estimated currently, and nothing big changes, we're gonna have $8,995 left.
Right.
If we use both capitals and we use all 380,000. The proposal here is though, what Brian's saying is use up the 380 so that's allocated, and then that 9,000 that's left, throw it back in a capital fund.
It will never come out of the capital.
It will never
fund.
come out of
It will
the-
just stay there.
And then once you trade in, you can.
Oh, you don't
decide
have to
if
show that you spent that
It'll
other
stay-
9,000?
No, it was
No,
spent. It was spent on the
it's-
ambulance. We're gonna
using
keep
it
the
out of
capital.
fund. But what happens is if Randy and Stu get a good deal on a trade-in, it's gonna change that number.
Right.
That I don't have to take as much out of the road truck capital fund.
Will they
Right.
take that truck on trade? What, will they take the truck on trade, the place you're buying from?
Right,
Well, I
you
don't
just
know.
sell.
I don't know about that. I'd have to ask Tom. that.
Okay, all right.
They're probably
So,
not.
all right.
I mean,
There's
the goal
another
on the road
option on
truck.
that
I don't
truck.
think-
It
I don't
was
think
just
they're
a
gonna
steel
road
oil
truck.
pan. It was
No,
over
the plan is to
3,000.
sell it.
It
Okay.
increases that by
But
3,000.
I'm not putting that in the equation now, but if you sell it, that's just money coming back in. We can put it back in the capital fund and go towards the
So,
Whatever you want to do with it.
All right.
That's the way it needs to
Yeah,
be.
so we have-
Because I want to have it where the American Rescue money is used up
Totally
on the
used.
road truck and the ambulance.
All right, so this is really cutting it close. If you add that stainless steel oil pan, it's 3,000, right?
Right, and then we have
It
to
was
paint the
23,
truck.
how much, it was 23,600 or
It was
23?
3,000. So.
Oh,
Then we also have to letter
We
the
have to
truck.
letter the truck.
500 for that.
So we're cutting it very close.
3275.
Do we want that, folks? Do we want that? Is that part of that
I wouldn't.
quote?
It's optional.
It's optional.
Okay, all right.
I'll bet you there ain't very many of them that roll out of the line with that stainless steel.
Probably,
pan on it.
probably not. They probably make that cast one every day. That stamp one's made every day. If it goes bad, you just throw one on. Yeah.
Well, we've had to replace them on ours out here.
All right, so
But I ain't worried about
The
that.
goal is though, the ambulance will get traded in.
yeah, the ambulance, this is my plan on the ambulance.
And then
When they call us 2-3 weeks out and say, hey, your ambulance is close. This could be 8 months from now, 9 months from now. Then we're gonna go in a Gov's deal. I've talked to Dan about this. Dan and I are gonna get together. We're gonna check out the ambulance. We're gonna go on to Gov deals. We're gonna say to them, we're gonna figure out what that's going for before our ambulance gets here. And then we will make a decision if we should trade it in at $5,000. They didn't even look at it. They just put 5,000 piece of paper. Do you know what I'm saying? They're throwing a number at us. If we think we can get 7 and 8 grand out of it, we'll put it on Gov deals. But I want to make that decision closer to time because we got 8-9 more months of it being out on the road. We might bust it into a wall before then. It might have a big
Right.
ding in the side of it. I can't do any of those numbers now. We're gonna have it on the road for another half a year, more. So my goal is to trade it in or put it on Gov deals, but I don't want it sitting around. I mean, as soon as the new one comes, it's see ya. You know, so I don't want it sitting around. I would say that the ambulance is small potatoes compared to your road truck. You got to figure out that's way more money. You know, getting someone to buy that for 16, 18, 20 grand with a plow. You know what I'm saying?
You know, and that's the other thing to look at too. You go to try to start selling that truck of ours
Right.
outright,
I'm gonna leave.
it's a problem truck. Most people know that they don't want
I
it.
already sent it. I'm gonna send an email.
Who knows what we'll get for it?
Because I can.
It's still a long ways
I'm
from
gonna get
doing
Derek
it.
to print. That's right.
I mean, even at 15,000, somebody needs a plow truck, or somebody needs trying to get a big.
Oh
business
yeah,
started.
yeah. Absolutely. It's a lot of truck for 15 grand.
Trustees, I just want you to understand what's gonna happen in the books. The American funds will be all used up. The money that you get out of selling a truck or the trade-in values, if those adjust, that's gonna stay in the capital fund. I just don't take it out.
Yeah. is. You use up the American Rescue. Yeah.
Okay.
Just don't take it out of the capital.
So what happens with the fire department? He was paying some of the money out of there for their wages.
Well, that's,
That's already-
I have
already
that.
set.
It's already
If you
set
look, if you
aside.
look at your
Okay.
treasury report.
The
we're
380s.
I'm just
minus
thinking
If you
20.
look at your treasury report on American Rescue, it's like 400,000, but I just did a payroll that'll hit it, it'll make it at 398,000 something. But we'll already be going to
So-
the new year on that
so-
20. The thing, I'll come back to you trustees, let's say it's September, October, and we burned up the 20, the cutoff
We're out.
point. I'm gonna come to you and say, okay, trustees, you
So-
want me to take a little bit out, just to finish out the year?
Right.
Hopefully we have a levy pass, something's going
Yeah.
on by then.
So Stu, to
Yeah, you
answer
need a little
that,
bit.
right now, next year, that 20,000 will be used up and we'll be talking about that premium pay.
Yeah.
Cause hey, you guys got an ambulance out of this rest of American Rescue. We're gonna be done at the end of 23. Or unless we decide something else. The money will be gone.
Right.
So,
We-
all right, what do we need to do? What are we doing? And do we need to make a motion?
We did the motion on the cab on the
Ambulance.
ambulance. I would suggest doing if you're gonna do anything, do the road cab part,
The chassis.
the chassis, we have that part of it. And I'm just trying to think if you can do it.
Yeah, you better make sure that that quote's still good.
Yeah. The quote on the
'Cause it's
road
just a
stuff should
quote.
be all good.
It
It
should
has-
still be all right.
All that stuff has time.
Yeah,
The ambulance
that
is the
number.
gray
It ain't no
area.
good in the resolution.
Well, the ambulance isn't as gray as, I called Derek and said, hey, we're building this. The plan is to build this. Give me your drop ship number. And he didn't say, oh, we went up 25%. I mean, I'm basing this all on what he sent me. So that's on him if he didn't send me the right stuff.
So you're only
Randy, those
gonna
are
do
two
the
different
chassis now?
vendors, right?
Oh, I think I do them both. They walked in. If you're gonna go with one, you might as well go with both. This is only from week ago, 10 days ago. I don't,
That's the one that was from October.
yeah, but
That one
I
should be
just
good.
talked to him. I talked to him 2 weeks ago.
Tell Stu from Osnaburg Township, give me a call.
All right, let's make some motions here and
All
keep
right.
moving so we're not here all night. All right. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and let's go ahead and make three motions. Brian, if we can.
We're
We'll do a
gonna
mo-
make, let me think about
We'll
that.
do a motion for the box, for the ambulance, because the chassis is done.
You already did, yeah, you did.
We'll
that.
do a motion for the chassis of the
Brian,
truck. We'll do a motion for the bed.
This has, when the invoice is invoiced, you get 2% off of 91,000 and paid within 15 days.
That's only 1,800.
But still, that covers our lettering,
That'll cover
Yeah.
everything.
easily covers lettering.
So if we pay it within
Half the oil pan.
15 days, we can take a 2% discount off of
That's-
91.
Can you allocate the funds that
Well,
fast?
what I'm trying to think about, if I just do it all in American funds, everything I do to max it out, then I have it out.
Yeah, I think
If
you
we
need to
get
go
money
ahead and
back
allocate it,
Save
right?
money, it'll kick it back, because think of it this way, you write a purchase order for 100,000, we only use 900 or 90,000, that 10 stays sitting there.
Mhm,
Okay, American funds want you to use that 10
mhm,
that I allocated out of it.
Right.
But that 10 to pay for that truck is actually part of the capital fund. I'll put the 10 back in the capital fund.
Okay.
Well, they're gonna have other costs. They're gonna have to letter the truck and,
He's trying to figure out how to pay that.
Yeah.
He's trying to figure out how to pay 91,000 of unencumbered money in a couple of days to get the 2%. Because he can't just write a $90,000 check. It's got to be allocated.
Yeah.
You know what
he
I'm
needs to
saying?
put the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right,
No, you
right.
can't do that.
All right, so let's
But
make,
you'll have
Separate.
two vendors, right?
yeah, they'll have two
Yeah.
vendors.
Yeah.
Okay,
And you
so
have with
I'll
fuel.
start with the ambulance box and then I'm gonna work my way down to the road truck. So the chassis has been taken care of.
Let me see where I'm at on my thing right there. Okay, there's a chassis.
All right, Trustee Varian makes a motion to purchase the ambulance box being built by Lifeline.
Trustee Griffith seconds.
I'm sorry, I didn't give a number. To the tune of $272,922.
That's the whole thing.
That's the whole thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. That's my fault.
Man, we
I'm gonna start that over. scratch that from the record, please. Trustee Barry makes a motion to pay Lifeline for just the box, not the chassis, of the new ambulance for $216,316.
Griffith seconds.
All those in favor?
All right.
I'm sending it down to Randy for the road.
All right. Trustee Piro moves to buy a Mack single axle big dump from R&R Truck Sales at a cost of $131,490.
Griffith seconds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Piro moves to hire Gledhill Road Machinery Company to outfit that Mack truck at a cost of $91,592.26.
Griffith seconds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have three motions. Ambulance box, truck chassis, truck bed, and plow.
And do you have any money left?
Here's what you want to do. Take and make a motion for fiscal officer Lowry to use any balances in the capital fund.
Okay.
Brenda, that's your money.
Let me just see here.
I want to use the remaining money for a new sign.
Have to get that out of the general fund.
Why? Can I have it out of American Rescue? Isn't there like 5,000 left?
It's not, give me some time to think about that because I didn't look at American Rescue to make new signage up. I know they have something for LEDs for educating the people, like if we put some fancy $30,000, $40,000 sign down there, but I don't know if it's, might be just easy just to do, depending on the cost of that sign.
Do you want the motions to be separate, the 75 from the ambulance
Well,
and the
that's
50
what I'm
for the
thinking.
road? Do you want to be separate motions?
Separate motions
All
to
right.
do the balance of the 75 out of the
Okay.
ambulance or the capital.
All right.
And then the other one, then when I write these all in, man, what a nightmare. If I write these all in, then if we don't use all the capital fund, it'll sit there.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna use all
Yep,
the.
and the capital fund's allowed to sit there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Trustee Varian moves to allow fiscal officer Lowry to use the remaining $75,000 that is in the capital fund for the ambulance.
Trustee Griffith seconds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Trustee Varian moves to reuse the remaining $50,000, which is set aside for a new road truck, moves to allow fiscal officer Lowry to do what he needs to with those funds.
Griffith seconds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I like that, Rosa. Do whatever you
You
want.
do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. It's getting late in the night, guys.
Maybe
Do whatever
maybe I can do a
Do whatever you
sign.
want. Do whatever you want.
Maybe I'll get you
All right.
signed after all.
Maybe
buddy.
we'll get you signed after all.
Do whatever you want.
Okay. Anything else for the road?
Dude, make sure I get a copy of that other part of that road, 'cause I don't have
We
it.
got it.
Home, put it in there.
All right. Anything else for the road?
Let me look.
I'm gonna make copies of this for
We did the
Okay.
site plan. We did the then and now. Okay. All right.
Yeah, we got it.
Zoning report. Oh, this poor girl. This poor girl. She's been just buying her time. All right. Tell us more.
There's no permits issued since the last meeting.
Okay.
Over on the nuisance side for the Indian Run property, they said just go forward with the nuisance process. As far as the camper living situation, they're still looking into it with the health department. So she hasn't given me an answer back on that yet,
So we just move forward with the trash.
which I drove by today and it looks a little better.
Okay.
But that's their only recommendation towards that. Over on the Ravenna property with the health department, they sent out the letter, supposed to let them know if I don't hear anything within 30 days. Hopefully he'll call and get situated, but otherwise I don't know what the next step would be. And then Hill Church, there hasn't been any change at the old Indian Run church with any of the trash or really,
And your letter went to the property owner.
which I'll be sending out another one probably tomorrow.
Okay.
So that's all the nuisance side. I did get a phone call about trucks on a property that potentially was for business use, but There, I didn't see anything there when I went by and haven't heard anything since. That was over on Midday and Clear Haven. So I don't have anything for that. Commission will not be meeting this month. They will be meeting next month for the reorganization. And then the Board of Appeals will have the reorg meeting on Tuesday, January 3rd, because that Monday is the holiday set by the federal government.
Okay.
And for that Broadway tabled issue, I reached out to the one that was doing the hearing, and she decided she may not want to continue with it, so I asked her to let me know before that January 3rd.
This is the container homes?
Yeah.
All right.
So I asked her to let me know before that January 3rd for sure which way she was going.
Okay.
That way it can be cleared up if she doesn't want to continue.
Can I get an update real quick on the piece of property that was right next to Roberto Cheese? Did that go through?
They purchased it and they got their permit for the building.
Okay. I happened to see the sign still in the yard for sale, but that might have just been old. I drove by today and thought, I thought that. Okay. All right. Thank you.
So they probably won't build on it till spring, but they already got their permits and
Great.
stuff for that.
Great. All right.
I can.
And then in front of you is the layered zoning recommendation
Okay.
from the commission.
Mary, did you get the adjustments on here?
Yes,
Okay, so then, we need to send this final version to the consultant. He was waiting to see the final version.
on it, there were just a couple changes, mostly grammatical. The regional planning recommended removing some sections of it because it seemed repetitive to our resolution book as it stands now. But the commission felt it was better to keep that in because it was a little more specific to this district itself.
So, since it was presented to us formally
You have
tonight,
30 days from tonight to set your hearing. You haven't up to 30 days to set that hearing.
Once it's presented to us.
it's presented tonight.
Got it.
Questions, just so I got this right. This I do not have, so you guys all have that?
Mhm.
Okay. I have these old ones. What's happening with these?
That's after the trustee hearing, you guys sent.
Okay, so this is just the proposal,
That's
but
the,
there's nothing that has to be the reminder thing like this. Because usually I get something in the mail. This is what your board has, you or the board has prepared.
And then they present
They
to us.
presented to us,
And
and
we
we're
approve
setting a
it,
hearing.
Then
Now,
that goes out.
And then
well,
this,
we're not
Yeah.
approving it yet. We're just
Yeah.
setting a hearing date.
Oh,
Yeah.
got it.
That's
Okay.
what
you
it
have to
is.
have a hearing.
Yeah.
within
Gotta have a
30
hearing before you
days.
can approve
So
it.
these things
Got it.
aren't really relevant yet. You're just.
We can't approve without a hearing on this.
Correct.
Correct.
So our hearing date to be within the 30 days would be January 9th,
Okay.
the first meeting in January.
It'll be on the same as our meeting night.
So it's on our regular trustee
It
meeting.
has to be our regular trustee
Okay.
meeting night. We have a hearing during that, just like you would for zoning violations.
Oh, in the meeting. Okay.
Yeah, it's in the meeting.
Okay.
We can move it to the front of the meeting if we want.
Okay. So this will be the overlay. Okay. Got it.
Yeah,
Now, we're gonna do a resolution like you guys just
Yes.
doing that right now?
yes.
Okay.
So I'll make a resolution that we set a hearing for the US 30 and State Route 172 corridor overlay district.
Trustee Varian second.
We have to have a time on that.
Oh,
That's a
sorry.
lot.
What, at 7?
7:45. 7:30. Let's start right away. with
Well,
it.
we can say 8 o'clock and get the other business done out of the way. And we'll set it at 8 o'clock.
So 8 PM.
Trustee Varian second. All those in favor?
Aye.
What's he gonna call? I just wanna make sure that I do not have. I just wanna make sure I have. Nah,
That's fine.
I just wanna make sure I have.
It's been changed some, Brian, so you need a clean one,
This has been
That's the
changed?
clean
a
one.
little bit.
That's the clean one.
This is a clean?
Yes,
That's the clean
that's a
one.
clean one.
You should have a copy of it in your email. I sent it.
Oh,
earlier.
you sent it to me in an email.
There you go.
Must have got that with that other one.
I will make note that regional planning did respond to the commission and asked to make a few, they wanted a couple suggestions, but the commission did not agree with their suggestions.
Okay.
Some of them they did, they just didn't take all of them,
Okay.
so.
For that hearing, will somebody come and present this to us or no? Is that,
That would be for Mary to present,
okay,
and then she can have your chair of that commission here for questions,
okay.
if possible.
And is it public forum? Is it public speaks on that time?
Public speaks.
Okay.
Will you
Gotcha.
read through the whole thing?
I
Word for
know.
word.
No, she'll have copies for people to pick up, and then on the screen, we'll have the map. So
Okay,
people can see the map. And then when the commission had their hearing, there was quite a few people here, and they liked the map, and actually there was probably, 12 people here for that hearing?
okay,
And they were all 100% positive, there was no one that had a negative comment,
great.
so we were surprised.
There was only about one question. Kind of what brought it?
12 people, that's good for something. That's
Yeah,
great.
we were
That's great.
shocked, we thought, uh-oh.
Yeah. You see a room full of people like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah,
All right. Okay, anything else for zoning?
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Old Township business, work session was held at 6 PM prior to tonight's township meeting.
You might want to mention what we were doing, like having like the discussion.
The discussion at tonight's work session at 6 PM that was held before the meeting on 12/12/22 was to just discuss the options of possibly putting a levy on for some new funds for we have not made decisions yet, but looking at three different parts of our township, one being the fire department, one being the road department, and the third being the cemetery, and looking at what the numbers might look like and kind of discussing where we think we would use those funds if the levy were to pass, levies or levy. Okay, reminder to register and sign up for the 2023 OTA Winter Conference. Did we approve what we need to on that?
we did.
Just want to remind, I don't know if anybody got signed up. I see all the motels are filled up.
Yeah, I see, I did the motel, but I didn't do the sign up yet.
The registration, yeah, you're probably all right on that.
I know they do close it though, they didn't used to, now they close it.
Mhm.
So you can't, if you don't do it by a certain date, I don't know when that is. I know it's probably in January, I'll have to check. Brian, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
We have on January 4th, our reorg set.
Yeah.
At 5:30.
Yeah.
Can we move that to 5?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I already have it on the site, but I update it. So you want it.
Do we need an amended motion for
You
that?
should do that officially, then there'll be a reason why I change it.
Okay.
I know there's hundreds of people writing that down to be here to see that.
I don't know.
Griffith will make a motion that our time changes for our reorg on January 4th, the start time from 5:30 to 5 o'clock.
Trustee Varian second. All those in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Okay, great. All right, new business. Otarma nominee Joyce. Possible vote.
Yeah, we've kind of tabled this. This is every year we get this letter about Otarma members. Joyce Feltzer, that was from our area, is up for re-election.
Okay.
I know Trustee Griffith and all you do this jointly. I'll refresh my memory.
Are we happy with her?
She does a great job.
Yeah, she represents good.
Trustee Piro moved to vote for Joyce Spencer.
It says you're supposed to vote for two, but I think what we've always did is.
Trustee Piro moves to vote twice.
No, we only want to vote once for.
The wheels are falling off.
I don't know, do they still count the vote? It says vote for two candidates.
Trustee Varian seconds Mr. Piro's motion to vote for Joyce.
Just Joyce.
Just Joyce. Sounds good. Let's just mark one. We'll go against the grain. You say mark two, we'll mark it one.
All right.
Okay, thank you. We've got correspondence. You've got your grassroots clippings there. I think we've signed some checks already this evening. Anything else for the good of the order?
Trustee Griffith recommends that we table this and adjourn.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's gonna be twice.
We just made a bond at work for you.
Sign.
I'm married already. This right here is a lot of.
Okay. What do you think about Dan? Oh, wait, not on file yet. Wait a minute. We'll wait for the shop.
Brian, do you need my charging cord for this computer?
What's that?
Do you need my charging cord?
No, I have mine here. I'll just hook it up and do it for you. Is yours labeled or also don't mix them up?
That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. I'm heading that way.
It is not. You're going to have to put a piece of tape or something on it. There's nothing on it.